Hello, back again from the dead, this time as a pair of hands for extra shots. Before going back into more Pokemon related gameplay and videos, I wanted to take some time and reharm the Driftveil City theme just because it's such a banger tune and I thought it would be fun. But instead of making a video of just the end product, I thought it would be kind of interesting to show the overall process of how I go about making the whole thing. So hopefully you'll stick around for the most of it, if not, feel free to skip to the actual song. I would have included the timestamps in the description so you can immediately skip to that part. Alright, so there were a few conditions that I wanted to impose on myself before starting this video. I wanted to try and make a tune where I didn't use any expensive plugins, virtual instruments, or any extra additional software aside from the digital audio workstation that I already have. Because I'm also a musician by profession, I already have Logic Pro bought and installed for my digital audio workstation, but you can easily do this with GarageBand or any free DAWs for Windows. In terms of virtual instruments, I wanted to exclusively use the sounds and VSTs that came with Logic, and I was able to do that for the most part, really. The only extra instrument I used was for the drums, which is available for free, so I think that's still acceptable. Right, so there were a couple of angles that I could have taken to begin working on this tune, but I decided to just record the theme on the DAW and see where it took me. Alright, so first order of business is I'm just gonna play the theme as I remember it. Let's see. Well, we all know how the theme goes. There's only so many times you can watch Toothless dance to it before getting it stuck in our heads. Next, I had to figure out the chords to the song, which involves a lot of talking to myself and noodling on the keys. Next order of business. Alright, so the whole thing that I wanted to do with this, instead of doing it the usual style that I do with Sibelius, I put it down. I do it acoustically and kind of work around the chords and see what I can do. Oh shit. Well, the original chord I think is B flat. I think it's something like that, right? And then it's the same thing. A flat minor. I don't know if this is B flat sus or it's just B flat minor. With the basic chords in the bag, I wanted to solidify the groove, and this was probably my favorite part. Before I forget, the free VST I was using is called Empty Drums, I believe, in case you want to check it out later. I'm no drummer by any means, but I have a general idea of how I want the drums and groove to sound. I definitely wouldn't be able to get a good end product by playing the drums myself, so unfortunately I had to record it via Midi keyboard and drew the rest. I began with a very basic structure and bones of the groove first. Let's try. 1, 2, 3. The kick and the snare by itself sound very dry and not fun, so it was time to add the hi-hat. So let's just do one bar first. Alright, sounds good. Let's make it more human, so let's add accents. Oh fuck. Yeah, so let's add that. A stronger accent. Yeah, okay.
A few moments later.
Something like that. So this starts back on there. That sounds a lot more human. I do think that we can add something more here. Something like this. Yeah. I feel it. I feel it. Accents. They play a huge role in making it sound a lot more human, and rightly so. This, of course, isn't just limited to drumming, but all instrument playing in general. If you can read sheet music for percussion and drums, reading groove books will greatly help in stuff like this. I took some chops from Zach Grooves and a lot of gospel drummers for this tune, which you'll see, but we'll save it for later. After messing about with accents and hi-hat openings for a bit, we had this basic groove for the song. So that's 2 bars, so let's see what happens here. After this, I finally spent some time just messing about with the chords to see where the song was going harmonically. It took a while, but I finally landed on something I can work with. And it just repeats. G sounds really good there. So it's a minor major thing. I can make it.
12 seconds later.
Oh.
Mm. 20 minutes later.
It's kind of cliche, but it's a 4 momentum kind of sound, right?
6 hours later.
To see how it sounded with the song, we recorded the 3-chord loop over the song to see if it fit. Better? Okay. This part doesn't mesh so well. I quite like how it sounded at this point, but of course it didn't really fit with all the parts of the melody. I had to look for something else for that part. Not long after that, we kind of had the structure going on for the first part of the melody that I dubbed the chorus. To save time, this was after I added a different drum part to complement the second part of the chorus. And this was basically the whole process. However, if we just let the song loop on these parts, it wouldn't be very interesting, so I wanted to give it a bit more time to breathe. I wanted to do a bit of a sax solo, and then we go back to the chorus. Maybe do a small arranger's chorus before that for just a bit of spice, but we'll see later. Alright, bopping. But all good songs with banging drums need a good fill before the intro. So I took some time to add that in before moving on. And I wanted chops. Chops! Dugga. Okay, I can just imagine the drummer seeing this and be like, bro, that's how a drum fill works. Open hi-hat. Just make it a nice and kind of rocky fill. Kind of like that. And then we're going to change this up for a bit. I don't know if this is going to sound good, but... No, not a tom. Open hi-hat. There you go. Yeah. We added some piano for texture and had our vibe settling in. 1, 2, 3, 4. And up next was the bass. This was quite possibly the most defining instrument of this whole thing and the make or break element. If this doesn't sound good, the whole track won't sound very human at all. I wanted a slap bass with 4Ps, and it was going to be very tough doing this with stock plugins and VSTs. Davey, please collab so I can have an easier time with music side of this channel. I watched this excellent tutorial from this Japanese YouTube channel called Rio. He makes great videos about music production. I took a lot of tips from this channel and made use of a lot of his production elements and sound effects from his free project files. Anyway, here was how the bass part started. I think I spilled some coffee. After that, we took some time tweaking the MIDI values of the bass and added muted notes, as well as adding fills I thought could be realistic sounding for the bass. It wasn't sounding too bad, honestly. I was quite happy with this moving forward at this stage. Next, we added some loops and effects, like the shaker loop from Logic, and this switch sound to spice things up. Oh! Whoa! Did you hear that? I want that in. I want that in. But let's check how it sounds. Ooh. That's sexy. That's sexy. That's sexy. I like it. All right, like so. There you go. So that creates a nice anticipation for the third beat of the bar, and then this reverse sound that you also hear. I put it the reverse sound of the shaker and the click, and I also added the Nintendo Switch click just for the sake of it. And this was my whole music production process. Rinse and repeat until the tweaks sound good. I know we haven't gotten to the second part of the song, and that's intentional. I wanted you guys to experience it with the song itself later. After this whole thing, I took the sax and flute parts, tidied up the drums and all the instruments basically, and mixed it. Just for your information before the song starts, the final session did end up being more than 60 tracks and quite a long time invested into it. It could have taken a lot shorter, but somehow with my own projects I just end up not being able to stop. I got lost in the sauce quite often. So, without further ado, here's the final product. Before we go though, if you enjoyed this video so far, please consider dropping a like and a sub, and a comment would be wonderful for the algorithm. Well, as much as I would like to say that the title is clickbait, unfortunately it's not entirely the case. With all the prep, practicing, recording, and juggling everything else with life, this production easily took the longest out of the 4 songs that I put out on the channel. And it shouldn't take this long, honestly. I might have let my insecurities get the better of me too many times during this whole thing. But what's done is done. I'm quite happy with how it turned out, and I'm sure if I do it again in the future, I can get it done a lot faster. It's been quite the learning experience. For those of you who stayed till the end, thank you so much for sticking around, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.